Once upon a time, there was a wicked and jealous queen who ruled over a great kingdom. She had a daughter who was not only kind but also incredibly beautiful. Many princes from distant lands came, hoping to marry the princess. However, the queen did not want her daughter to marry anyone. To every prince who arrived, she said, "Before you can marry my daughter, you must first complete a task for me." But the tasks she gave were impossible. And when the prince inevitably failed, she coldly declared, "Now you must die." Then, her woodcutter would cut off his head. "You will never marry," the queen often said to her unhappy daughter, laughing cruelly at her sorrow. Far away, in a small and poor kingdom, there lived Prince Charles, the son of a humble king. One day, Charles heard about the princess's beauty and decided that he wanted to marry her. "Father, I must go to her kingdom," he said. But the old king was horrified. "No, my son. The queen there is evil. She will kill you as she has killed all the others. You are my only son, I cannot lose you. There are many beautiful women in the world. You do not need to chase this one." But Prince Charles could think of nothing else. He grew pale and thin from sadness. Seeing his son's misery, the king finally said, "Very well. Go if you must. May you succeed where others have failed. And may I see you again." Filled with excitement, the prince ate well and grew strong once more. Then, he set out on his journey, alone and without servants, for his father was too poor to provide them. "I'll find help on the way," the prince told himself. Not long into his journey, he came upon what looked like a small mountain. But as he got closer, he realized it was not a mountain at all, it was a very fat man sleeping on his back. The prince approached, and the man opened his eyes. "What are you doing here?" asked the fat man. "I might ask the same," said the prince. "I was sleeping," the fat man replied. "But now I'm awake. I'm hungry." "What did you eat this morning?" asked the prince. "Just 10 chickens and 100 cakes," the fat man said. "Would you like to be my servant?" asked Prince Charles. "If you give me food," the fat man replied, "I'll do anything you ask." So the fat man joined the prince. Soon after, they met another strange man. He had his head bent low, and his enormous left ear was pressed against the ground. "What are you doing?" asked the prince. "I'm listening," said the man. "I can hear the flowers opening, the birds singing in a country across the sea. I can even hear what's happening in the princess's palace." "What's happening there?" asked the prince eagerly. "Another prince has just been executed," the man said sadly. "Come with me, Big Ear," the prince said. "I need someone like you." And Big Ear joined them. Soon after, they found 2 long objects lying by the road. "What are those?" asked Fat Man. "Trees." Big Ear looked closer. "No, those are arms, very long arms." Eventually, they found the man those arms belonged to. "You are very long indeed," said the prince. "I can stretch even farther," said Long Arms. "Come with me," said the prince, and Long Arms agreed. A little while later, they met a man with one hand covering his eye. "Do you have something in your eye?" asked the prince. "No," said the man. "I can see very far and through anything, mountains, buildings, water. But when something is close, I cover one eye to see it clearly." "Come with me, Quick Eyes," the prince said, and the man agreed. As they continued their journey, the sun grew hot. The prince opened his coat, but nearby, they saw a man wearing 2 thick coats and a large hat. "Why are you dressed like that?" asked the prince. "It's so hot." "I am always cold," said the man. "And if I open my coat, the sun will disappear, and snow will fall." "Come with me, Cold Man," the prince said. "But please, don't open your coat unless I tell you." And so, Prince Charles had 5 strong and unusual servants by his side as he arrived at the Queen's castle. "I wish to marry the princess," he declared boldly. The Queen smiled wickedly. "Then you must complete 3 tasks. If you do them well, you may marry her." "What is the first task?" asked the prince. "I dropped my beautiful blue jewel in the river yesterday. Bring it back before sunset." The prince turned to his servants. Quick Eyes looked toward the river. "There it is," he said. "I can't reach it," said Long Arms. "No need," said Fat Man. He opened his mouth and drank the entire river. The riverbed was dry, and Long Arms easily grabbed the jewel. When the prince returned the jewel to the queen, she was furious. "Tomorrow," she muttered, "he will not win." The next morning, the queen said, "You must eat 30 chickens before noon. Not a bone or feather can remain." "May I invite a friend?" the prince asked. "Just one," said the queen. So Fat Man ate all 30 chickens, then everything else in the kitchen, the gardens, and the palace. There was nothing left. When the queen demanded lunch, the cooks could only shrug. Fat Man ate everything. The queen was furious. But she wasn't finished. On the 3rd day, she smiled sweetly. "Tonight, dine with me. Then you may sit with the princess for 2 hours. But beware, if you fall asleep, the princess will vanish by magic, and you will die." "I will never fall asleep near the princess," the prince vowed. But the queen secretly slipped a sleeping potion into his wine. That night, as the prince sat beside the princess in a high tower, he slowly drifted off. When he awoke, the princess was gone. He rushed to the window. "Big Ear. Where is she?" Big Ear listened. Across the river, inside a tree. Quick Eyes confirmed it. "I can see her." "But how do we cross?" asked the prince. "I'll handle it," said Cold Man, opening his coat. Snow fell, freezing the river solid. They crossed quickly, rescued the princess, and Long Arms lifted them all back into the tower room. When the queen arrived, expecting to find the princess gone, she was stunned. "We've had the most delightful conversation," said the prince. Defeated, the queen prepared a final trap. She locked the prince and his friends in a room above a great fire, hoping to roast them alive. But Cold Man simply opened his coat, and snow cooled the room. When the queen heard no noise, she assumed they had frozen to death. But when she opened the door, the prince and his friends rushed past her, laughing. The queen realized she had lost. She left the country in shame. Prince Charles married the princess, and they lived happily ever after with their 5 loyal and extraordinary friends.